Well, welcome to Show and Go, the place for all of your NRLW content for season 2026. It's a very good morning to you, Pam Whaley from Code Sports. How are you going, Pam?
Thank you, Lara Pitt. Yes, really well. How are you?
I'm very good. I will refer to you as Pamela when I'm angry this season, but
Okay.
for now you can be Pam. I don't know about you, but my face feels like it's going to fall off after 11 games of rugby league this weekend. I'm just going to have to get used to it and get my fitness up.
Yeah, lot to digest.
Yeah, the NRLW adding to the men's, of course. Let's look at how round one finished up. If you didn't catch it, it kicked off in style for the Newcastle Knights. A bit of an upset at Shark Park, 18 points to 4 winners there. The Roosters in fine form. We didn't expect anything less from John Strange's team. 34 points to 10 over the Titans. The Raiders, a great win for them after a really tough season. They get off the mark, 20 points to 4 over St George Illawarra. The reigning premiers, the Brisbane Broncos, too good, getting up a half century in round one over the Cowboys. And on Sunday, I thought we probably saved the best till last. West Tigers, wooden spooners last year with a great win over Parramatta. And the Wahine, the Warriors, they were fantastic against the Bulldogs, 32 points to 10. Pam, quick one. Which game did you love the most?
I loved the Eels-Tigers game.
Yep.
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
It was great to see the Tigers kind of kicking on and showing some real improvement. It was really exciting.
Yeah, great to see the teams finish lower on the table get some first up wins. Let's get stuck straight into the breakdown. One of the juiciest talking points from the round, and it was the Roosters ruffling some feathers already. Their coach John Strange ruining the ruck. Before we dive into it, let's have a listen to what the premiership winning coach had to say.
Really, really slow ruck. You know, you work really hard to get one-on-ones, you know, get quick play of the balls, and then you get second efforts coming in. Turns into what should be a quick play of the ball into a 5-second, and it was a struggle to watch. So hopefully that's not going to continue. Be great if they are going to just keep letting that go, the slow rucks, bring in 6 agains, and then they might be more inclined to call them.
So, in case you missed it, the Roosters won, and they won comprehensively. But that was a very annoyed John Strange. There's a lot to unpack here. Let's start with first things first. It's pretty critical of the officiating. Is he getting into any trouble for it?
It doesn't look like he's getting into any trouble for it. So these things are reviewed on a Monday by the independent decision maker from the NRL. And as far as I can ascertain, I've checked in with the NRL this morning, they're not following anything up. So he didn't cross a line there as far as they're concerned. But he was quite critical of the officiating. And I think he immediately kind of went into that monologue as soon as the press conference started. So it was obviously something that he wanted to address. Boom, straight up, round one. They've had a great win, but he kind of wants to set a bit of a standard, I guess, for what he wants going forward. So it's a bit of a power move.
So he's frustrated that the speed of the ruck is being officiated in a slow sense by the officials on the day. That's what he's got his gripe with.
Yes.
Is that something that when you watched that Roosters-Titans game you were frustrated with as a fan? Because he said it's ruining the spectacle.
No.
It's not something that you immediately thought of.
I didn't immediately
think of it watching the game
whatsoever, because the Roosters were still the dominant team on the day. That's not something that stood out to me. Was it something that stood out to you?
In reflection, perhaps, but I'm thinking as a neutral fan who wanted to see a really competitive game, the Titans are up against it.
Yeah.
Against a star-studded Roosters. So perhaps that's that's what they're trying to do, is hold on for dear life. And they had a lot of sets to defend early. Yeah. I'd have to go back and look at it closely. I think that they only 3 of their 7 penalties on the day were for holding down. So whether the official didn't see it the same way, I would have to have a closer look at it. But he was having a stab at the standard of officiating, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's something that is quite telling. The Roosters and the Broncos are 2 of the best teams in the competition. We've seen that across round one. And they get frustrated because they just want to play the way that they want to play. But the rest of the competition has to do something to try and match them. So slowing down the ruck is a tactic. It's part of the game. Any team that's going to play them is going to do that. What did you think of the 6 again.
So he's thrown out that we're ready for the 6 again.
Yeah.
Immediately, my immediate response was, I don't believe that we're ready. Do I believe that the Roosters could do it? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I believe that the Broncos could do it? Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be in the best interest of the NRLW because we're already getting some massive scorelines by those two teams, and it would be frightening to think what they could blow out to. Second to that is there's a welfare issue here. Like 6 agains have only been introduced in the NRL. They've been playing it for 100 years. Where I'm not saying the girls aren't as fit as the boys, but I'm saying like that adds a whole extra element of fatigue. Strength and conditioning. Our pre-seasons are only getting up to 6 weeks now. All of those things that I imagine having that 6 again we've seen it. It brings in such a huge fatigue factor for the game.
There are probably other things that we could focus on in terms of bringing fatigue into the game.
Rule changes
that we could focus on before we look to a 6 again. And I can see why John Strange thinks that would be a good idea, because it would be a good idea for the Roosters. But I just don't think we have the depth in the NRLW to be able to handle that. We already deal with a lot of injuries week in, week out. Injuries decimate teams, and then adding in that extra layer of fatigue when they get unless you're a representative player, unless you play for Queensland or New South Wales and you get that extra kind of preparation leading into State of Origin, which is kind of an extended pre-season leading into the NRLW season, you're getting 7 weeks of like a full-time pre-season. So the fitness is not there, the preparation is not there to be able to handle it for the majority of the teams.
And then add to that, like you said, there are other things that we can adjust first. They have 10 interchanges right now in the NRLW. If you go to 8, like the men, then that adds a whole element of fatigue that we're not witnessing just yet. We're at 70-minute games. When do we get to 80-minute games? I mean, all of those things could happen before you introduce something like that. All I do know is that those comments got a lot of people talking, a lot of other coaches in the game, behind the scenes, people are talking about it. And by and large, people do not want to see that change made because they don't believe it's for the betterment of the NRLW.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the reasons why people like the NRLW as well is because it doesn't have that. It's kind of pure rugby league. We're not getting those 6 agains. There's not a lot of those kind of recent changes to the game.
But there's a way to do it. Penalise it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be 6 again, but penalise it if people are slowing the ruck down, which the ruck in the women's game is slower. It is at the moment, for sure. The stats back that up compared to the men. It's slower. So penalise it and then go from there rather than bringing in the 6 again. That's how I see it anyway. All right, well, in season 2026, plenty of girls are going to cook in this competition. So this is a segment, She Cooked, and there's going to be, it's hard to pick just one, but I'm asking you, Pam, to come up with a player that stood out to you this round and why.
So for me, it was Gail Broughton at the Warriors, obviously in their win against the Bulldogs, but I think maybe more broadly, it's whoever does the recruitment at the Warriors, whoever that is, they cooked.
Yeah.
Because that game to me was the pinnacle of a club that is really heavily investing in their NRLW program and in recruiting and in trying to find the best talent and competing for the best talent. And then a club like the Bulldogs, I think they maybe signed 1 player this year. And they just wasn't an even competition, was it?
No. Maybe they're becoming the new Roosters and Warriors, Roosters and Broncos, sorry. And that
I think, when we were talking about the 6 again, the Warriors could probably handle it too, I think. But yeah, I thought they were just amazing.
Racine McGregor, you cooked. She absolutely cooked, and she looked $1 million too. Yeah. And, she looks fit at the West Tigers. It looks like a chapter that needed to happen for her, a change in scenery. And I think, 3 try assists on the day.
Yeah.
She looks like back to the Dalian winning halfback that we know she can be, and the premiership winner that she's been in the past, and looks like she's going to be such an important pickup for the Tigers, who have needed some experience in those key positions.
Well, I spoke to her last week and she said that she's been with the Tigers since November and she's lost 12 kilos since then. She just really wanted to be dedicated. I think at the end of last year when she was at the Dragons, it was kind of insinuated that she'd fallen out of love with rugby league and she wanted to prove on the field that she's still got it. And then so she has put everything into getting as fit as possible to be able to keep up with the modern game, I guess.
Yeah.
And she showed that in
And she's one of the best in terms of her kicking game, her game management. Asana Lutu is a young half alongside her who needs to find her own voice in the game. She's, by everyone's admission, she's a quiet, very talented, raw talented young player, but to have Ray alongside her will definitely help that team. And I also loved seeing Keziat score a try in round one. She said her dad bet her $50 that she couldn't score and she scored. So a pineapple will do wonderful things to motivate you, and that's only a great thing for the West Tigers and their fans who really, it's been a long time and they needed to get off to a positive start.
They really did,
All right, this is Pit or Pam. We've got a new segment here because it's a new season and it's a high stakes debate. You have decided to bring this to the table and I'm going to argue the opposite and we'll see who wins at the end. The NRL needs to increase penalties for dangerous tackles. You're not happy with this warning system. You've got 2 minutes to convince me why they need to have a look at this.
Okay. When we look at the women's game and the amount of hip drop tackles that there have been in the women's game that have wiped out players for the whole season, and the whole season is, 11 games. So even, a serious MCL injury or, a serious ankle injury, that could be the end of your season, where that's not the case in the NRL. So this has been a serious problem in the women's game for seasons and seasons and seasons now, whether it be tackle technique, fatigue, whatever it is. But the NRL has put in a lot of time and effort into trying to eradicate the hip drop tackle in the NRLW. And when is it going to stop? Because across round one, we did see a fair few of them again. And then when you look at the charge sheet on Friday morning, Saturday morning, Sunday morning, it's warning. It's warning for a grade one, for dangerous contact. It's enough. I feel like the onus needs to be on the players. There's not enough of a deterrent to stop a hip drop tackle anymore. And that onus needs to be put back on the players. And I think harsher penalties need to come in. I understand that the NRLW is a shorter season, so penalties are harsher by, just by the ratio. But we need fines or game time, not a warning. I'm kind of sick of it.
Okay. It's pretty good. But I feel like you've brought in my argument already, and that's the ratio.
Yeah.
I'm going to be short and sharp. I don't need the 2 minutes. I can win this argument.
Go for it.
It is way too short, this NRLW season, to be sitting out 1, 2, 3 weeks. So what punishment is big enough for a hip drop that's a season-ending hip drop?
Well, if it's a grade one, I feel like it's a fine.
But it's never going to make up for the fact that a girl or a player, an athlete, is out for the year, right?
But if enough players, that deterrent should act as enough of a deterrent.
It should, right? I reckon the penalty should be a sin bin because it isn't always. It isn't always though. Sometimes it's just and then they look at it, review it.
Yeah.
Like the penalty in a game is a huge deterrent, I think, because you're letting your team down in the moment.
Yeah.
I think that what the percentages are, if you miss 3 games, that's like 30% of the season. And if you miss 3 games in the men, it's like that's 10% of the season. So I actually don't want to talk down the women's game, but I think there's still going to be an element of tackle tech is going to go wrong. So by punishing it, are they really learning from that? Maybe it's just, they're just accidents that happen, right? I know that there's too many of them and that we are seeing more hit drops in the women's game. But I do feel for the girls, and I also feel monetary fines are tough because they don't pay, we're not talking about big money deals here. The average wage is $50K.
Yeah. So
I think the warnings need to be taken on case by case basis because I get it. Like you look at the sheet and there's lots of warnings, but if you look at each of the issues, perhaps you go, I'd be quite happy for them not to miss a game.
Yeah.
because there are big name players that each team misses a player that can be a really big impact on them the next game in a short season. Those are the two arguments. I would love to know from people who are listening and watching what they think, if I've convinced you or if Pam's convinced you that warnings are too soft, or if in a short season they're okay for me. Just email us at codenrl@news.com.au or reach out to us on Instagram, and also you can comment directly on this YouTube and let us know what your thoughts are, and we can let you know who won next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next
week. Who won the first, Pitt or Pam. As always in the new season, we get to see a lot of fresh faces. So our hard launch is a segment where we get to talk about who impressed, who's a new face, who's someone that you were excited to see and who delivered on that promise.
Well, there are obviously several players who caught my eye, but the one player in the first game of the season was Sydney Taylor for Newcastle Knights. Now, she played in the centres. She's come across from rugby sevens. She's kind of got that professional background, and you could see anytime she got her hands on the ball, I think she set up a try, she ran for a bunch of metres, she had about 5 or 6 tackle breaks as well. But anytime she got her hands on the ball, the acceleration and just the speed was phenomenal, and she's going to be great for the Knights this year. But it kind of pointed to there's a bunch of girls who have come across from the rugby sevens this year. We had Tegan Levi at the Titans who looked really good. I think there were a couple of things, she got the rules wrong on a couple of occasions, but she looked unreal, and hopefully is going to have a good season for them. We had Soraya Parkey at the Roosters, and Madison Higgins-Ashby as well for the Sharks, who came on at the end of that game too. So she looks like she had a bit of class too, so it's exciting. Yeah,
Sydney Taylor, we were a bit robbed there of a really great matchup because was she on the right?
She was on the
right centre, so it would have been her and Tiana Penatani-Gray.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that? Yes.
I think so,
Left and right, they would have been head to head. So that would have, they kind of are the same mould. That's what Sydney reminded me of, the way she ran and how hard she tackled and, got straight into the tough stuff. So welcome to NRLW. Please stay. We're happy. Elite athletes bringing that professionalism, and also just, I guess, more broadly on the Knights.
Yeah.
They were great against the Sharks. Yeah. And we weren't sure whether they would be, with Jessie Southwell leaving, what impact that would have. They were ferocious, and Georgia Roach was fantastic alongside Kira Dibb. Bit of an issue there. Georgia's going to be out for a week
next week
with the suspension. So, they'll have to fill the void there in the halves. But fantastic to see Sydney Taylor carve up in her first game. So this season, the Aura Academy, we're going to give Aura points to players that, basically it's show and go's version of the Dally M, who we think really stood out across the round. And we'll keep a table, we'll keep a ladder, and at the end of the year, I don't know, maybe we'll give them a prize. We'll find a prize for them, won't we?
We'll find something.
Yeah, we'll actually award them with a trophy of some kind. So I'll let you kick off. Who got your 3, 2 and 1 from round 1?
So 3 for me was Racine McGregor.
Fair enough.
Obviously, I just think she had such a great game. Love to see it. 2, Olivia Koenig for the Roosters. They were obviously super dominant in that game against the Titans. And then 1, Sheridan Gallagher at the Raiders. She's obviously been moved back to fullback, which is why she went there to play. So she was phenomenal. It was great to see her in space and doing her thing. So loved that.
It is so hard to choose a 3, 2 and 1 from the whole round.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten how good Sheridan Gallagher was. So I went with Yasmin Meeks with 3 points for the Knights. A skipper's knock on the opening night. She was in everything and at her aggressive best, giving the halves at the Sharks nightmares with her physicality. 2 points, I went to Gal Broughton for the Warriors. She's going to be a huge inclusion for them this whole season, and if they are to be top 3, top 4, it'll be because she's on the podium on Dalium night in some capacity. And my 1, I got Ray. I could have given Ray more because she was so good, and I think she'll poll plenty of Aura points this season.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Well, show and go is just as much about who's watching. So we will encourage everyone to send in questions throughout the season, and we will endeavour to get to them. We actually already have one, and it's a beauty to kick off things. Hi guys, great to have the women's footy back, but the sooner the NRLW gets its own CEO, the better. Amen. The men's game gets Vegas to launch its season, and the NRLW gets a Thursday night at the worst NRL ground in the competition. Even then, there's no pre-match entertainment, no marketing to draw a crowd, no big event feel. The players deserve better than this. The NRL doesn't even own the NRLW.com IP. It's just available for anyone to buy right now. That's just dead set lazy. All the best, Jen.
Wow,
I promise
Jen.
I didn't write that, but I actually could have. We could have. Both of us could have sent that in. But that's an amazing first up email, and I could not argue any of those points. Does she want a job? Does Jen want to be the CEO?
Yeah,
I think
Jen, I think we need to chat. Sounds like we could.
So, okay, let's talk about this seriously. It's beyond a joke. Like, there should be a leader of some sort at NRL HQ. It doesn't have to be a CEO, but it should be someone at an executive level.
Yeah.
I wrote about it in your incredible 6-page preview last week, saying that is a no-brainer, and everyone in the game, in the women's space, agrees that that's what's missing at the moment.
This is something that you and I talk about all the time. It's something that I talk about with heaps of different people across the game. Just someone in charge that their sole responsibility is the growth and promotion of the NRLW. I don't know why we don't have it. And it would just do wonders for the game. It just, even, you know, we've spoken about this before, but for the past 4 seasons or so now, I've wanted to do a sit down with somebody at the NRL about the growth of the NRLW, or like, what is the plan for the future? Like a state of the game. What are the ratings?
Preview piece.
What do the ratings look like? What will the broadcast deal look like? What is the plan? What's the expansion plan? You know, all of these different things, just to map it out so that we have something on the record, because a lot of what we assume about the women's game and where it's going in the future is assumptions, is based on
so the fact is really, you can't get an interview with anyone from NRL HQ on the state of the women's game.
It's just been maybe this, that, you know, but who would I even talk to now? Like, there's no one, of course, but like, there's no one specifically in charge of this.
Yeah. It falls under the CEO and the broader business structure.
Yeah.
So I think where it comes unstuck, the NRL will say that the current structure works. Where it comes unstuck is where Jen points out. We don't have any pre-game hype into the season opener. We have no draw card. We have no big feel. All these things that she says. We don't own the NRLW.com IP. Like, I didn't know that either. I didn't know that. No. But, you know, things like that is where, that is, where you see that it's not, things are not being ticked off. So there are lots of really great things that are being done, but there's lots of things that are being missed.
Of course.
And that's where, fans are seeing it.
Yeah.
And they're getting frustrated that there's no spokesperson, there's no one pushing the cart of the NRLW.
We're
at
all
HQ.
coming from the same place, right?
Yeah.
We're all coming from a place where we just want this to be as good as it can be. And it's hard when you can see, like, it's obviously not a finished product yet. It's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect, but
we're at a point now, a 12-team competition where it deserves that.
It does.
Commercially, from every standpoint, needs to have someone with a seat at the table for those conversations. Yeah. All right, so that's a great first up hit from Jen. She emailed us at codenrl@news.com.au, so send in more of your questions and we will get to them as the show goes this season. All right, round 2 radar, Pam. Some big games already. I know that, you know, there shouldn't be pressure on, but there'll be teams like the Dragons and the Eels that will desperately want to bounce back. So will the Bulldogs and the Titans. But which game are you mostly looking forward to?
The Raiders-Warriors. I thought both teams obviously showed so much improvement from last year in round 1. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'll be a great matchup. Yep.
And for me, Sharks get back-to-back home games on a Thursday night, standalone. Tough ask coming up against the Brisbane Broncos, who were on fire to start the season. We believe that Tiana Penatani-Gray will be back for that one. They need her, and they need her leadership big time if they're going to get over the Broncos. Tough assignment. But I think they'll be desperate, and I hope that all I want to see is a really tough, low-scoring game. I don't want to see a half-century racked up by the Broncos again. Well, that is us for round one of Show and Go. Pam, you were fantastic. I think I got you in the Pitt and Pam debate, but we will find out next week. Make sure you get involved in the conversation. Either head to the YouTube comments or email us at codenrl@news.com.au. If you've got your ideas on who deserved Aura points that we missed, tell us. And if there's any big issues in the game you want to discuss, please let us know. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next Monday.